up, guys? Welcome to another episode of B is for Build. We're here in Eugene, Oregon at FTW Tuning, and we are gonna get the Huracan Dyno tuned today. So it's a really exciting moment. We finally get to put down some horsepower numbers, figure out if everything's working correctly, and just really see what this car can do with the configuration we have. So we're gonna go ahead and get it offloaded, and we're gonna move it inside. We're gonna do some tech inspection, look over everything, and make sure it's all safe before we go on the dyno, and then we'll start to let it rip. All right, we got her in the shop, so now it's time to do our little tech inspection, look through everything, make sure we're all good. So we're making one quick change here. Right now we have our vacuum runs to our wastegates to open them up when we need to, and they're all based on spring pressure. But as we're on the dyno, if we want to keep changing the spring pressure back and forth, they're going to get extremely hot and be a total pain. So we're just going to quickly install a manual little boost controller, and this just changes the amount of vacuum that's going to the wastegate, so it'll open later and get us more boost based on how much this is turned in and out. So we're going to go ahead and take one of our vacuum lines, tee it off, run them into the turbos, run this in the middle, and we'll be good to go. Alright, so we got done with our testing. We had a couple wastegate bolts loose because we never tightened them from when we took them out of the box, but it's light leak there, and then we did a compression test. Everything's good, so we are ready to hit the dyno. We're going to go ahead and pull her out of here and get it up on the dyno. Alright, we were up on the dyno. We went ahead and filled her up with E85. We're actually going to do an E85 tune on this thing. We have our flex fuel sensor over there, but we actually didn't have time to wire it up. And the guys here are going to wire that up for us later on. So for right now, we're going to tune this thing on E85. We're going to focus on some power pulls. It is getting a little bit late in the day, so we're going to focus on power pulls and let them do some fine tuning later on. So filled up on E85. As we were towing this thing backwards, unfortunately, this flap caught a little bit too much wind and broke the glass. Our design is fine. What happened was, if you can see there, some of that silicone didn't actually reach on the backside here. It should have been all sealed down. It wasn't, so it's kind of good that it broke. So now we know that we had a part that wasn't waterproof. So we'll rebuild one of these, order a new piece of carbon, rebuild one real quick, and actually install it the right way this time. That's some little bit of SEMA deadline stuff that backfired on us. So we're ready to go. He's gonna go ahead and throw on some tune and make it a little bit smarter, and then we'll aim for power. It's really weird dynoing a car with such high expectations. Like, we literally are really aiming for 1,000 horsepower. So it's weird that, we might make 700 and kind of be like, and then when we get to 700, it's not gonna be like we throw a huge party. So it is interesting on this one, but hopefully we won't let the numbers get away from us, but here we go. Our transmission, I will say, our transmission is making some interesting sounds after we installed our drop gears. We could have done something wrong, or it could just be like how it's gonna sound now. It doesn't sound like terrible, but it sounds like something could be wrong, but we've just decided to send it because what we think might be the issue is not really that big of a problem, so we're going for it. Here's the first few pulls. Well, we ran into our first problem, which is a really silly one. The vacuum line that runs from the intake manifold to the ECU is somehow not, it's kinked. It's got a kink in it somewhere. So we're hunting it down, and we're going to try and figure it out. There's always a lot of stuff on a dyno, a lot of stuff that goes wrong, especially on the first try. Well, that's a problem. There is a ball bearing in the end of our T-valve. We don't know where the ball bearing came from. We can get it out of there, but the question is, what did it come out of? Did it come out of our fuel pressure regulator? It's not on that end. It came from the engine side. There shouldn't be ball bearings flying through our engine. That is sketchy. We have one more problem. So the heat shielding, or no, the rubber So it's like sound deadening stuff around our cables is getting too close to the exhaust, and it's getting it really, really hot, and it's actually melting. It's hard to see, it's all the way down there. So this stuff, as it leads around. So we're gonna throw a temporary heat shield on there just to keep it off of it, to stop melting. That way if we do have smoke, we know it's a real problem, not a fake problem. Other than that though, the car's running and driving well, so we're ready to start power pulls. We got to 500 without even really doing much, 674 on torque. That wasn't even a real pull. Oh, this is getting exciting. Second pull, max horsepower, 4,700 RPM, 713 with 800 foot-pounds of torque. We're getting there. We're getting there fast. What's the word? What are we thinking?
Boost credit at 17 pounds.
Okay.
So there's something not right with the boost system.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We'll make changes.
That's only at 4,800 RPMs.
I know, yeah. I saw that we had more RPM to go.
Yeah.
That is so exciting. So the reason we took a break here was because the wastegates are not acting as we expect them to. We have 7-pound springs in the wastegates, and they're not opening up at 7 pounds. That's why we hit 17 pounds. So it's essentially the wastegate's not working. We're just getting whatever pressure the turbo is making, which isn't good. So we're gonna fix that problem, get everything running consistently, and then we'll steadily raise the boost in a consistent way. So we gotta troubleshoot this thing. There's a few different things, and we also changed up our whole configuration earlier today. So we'll just troubleshoot through this whole system and then figure it out and then get it back up. All right, well, it's getting pretty late. We definitely burned some hours working on this wastegate issue. We never really were able to figure out what the problem was, but just to be safe, we switched to 2 wastegates that we knew were working. And although bench testing, everything looked the same. So we're just kind of trying to eliminate things. It could theoretically be boost creep. It could be possible that we don't have enough exhaust gases going towards the wastegate, although these are angled in pretty well, but it's just the only way we can find out is by testing. So it's time to get it back going and give it another rip. 657. The numbers are going the wrong way right now. That's what this pull after pull after pull, what he's doing is he's tuning in the air fuel ratios on a low boost to get them dialed in so we don't run lean up top. So once we get this all dialed in at the top end, then we're gonna start raising the boost up and see what kind of power it puts down. Having the same weird boost leak issue, and then now the car does not want to start. It's acting like it can't get enough power to the starter. So either our starter's a piece of junk or something else is off. It's so weird. After we run it for a long time, the starter just does not want to start. So we're having a lot of issues with our starter, and you can see that this cable right here that connects the main starting solenoid to the starter is completely just crispy fried, and we saw it smoking a couple times, and we knew that, you know, we were gonna have problems. So it's late. These guys have been very kind to stay up very late with us and try and make this happen to reach our goal, but we're not really sure if it's gonna be possible. So it's time to get like real creative right now to see if we can build some sort of a way to bridge those 2 connections and give it another send. Fingers crossed. All right, Oscar went all the way with this bad boy, so it's really hot. Yeah, it's hot. It's 1/4 inch steel, bridging that connection. So that's a temporary fix. We're gonna install it in the car and see if it turns over. All right, our starter changes worked. It was able to crank over. Oscar actually started it up. Thanks for the warning, Oscar.
I told you.
So we are going for it. I'm so happy that the car is even just starting again. These guys have been insanely generous to stay here really late. It's 10 o'clock at night already. And with that starter failure, it was just like soul crushing because we know we can get to the 1,000 horsepower mark. So I'm really glad that the car's starting back up again. And now we're probably just not gonna shut it off anymore. And we're gonna just full send it. If we have the boost creep issue, we're gonna set a boost cut at 25 PSI. And we're just gonna jack it up to there and then fix the boost creep issue later.
Down. 705, 4,500, 800 foot-pounds of torque.
So you guys have seen when I pointed the computer over here, the TV screen I mean, you know, we're building great power at a very low RPM, 4,800, sorry if it's not focusing, you know, 4,800 RPM, we're at 700 horsepower, awesome numbers, you know, 850 foot-pounds of torque, 713 horsepower. We've got some good numbers, but it's always dying out in this 4,000 RPM range. And he was saying that as he was running the car, we thought we were hitting a boost cut, and it turned out it was actually like the whole ECU is just shutting off, which is an insanely bizarre issue. You know, we have all our grounding cables correct, which would be a, you know, that would be a weird thing if we didn't. We think we have all our power cables and everything on there correctly. So it's really strange. Now we checked the data log to see what our voltage is doing inside the car, and the car's voltage is staying steady. It's not like spiking or doing anything too crazy. So it's a really, really bizarre thing. And we're going to try and troubleshoot all we can, but honestly, this might be a nail in a coffin type of situation. This is tough. Okay, so we found a grounding lug that we had been using on the chassis, and it was epoxied to the chassis, and that made it work somehow. That thing got loose, so we had to take all the grounding cables that were going to that and move them down to a Lamborghini ground spot. So we went ahead and did that, and we confirmed we were able to wiggle it and make the ECU actually shut off by wiggling it around, and then we were confirming that it's not doing that anymore. So it would be really weird if it had very consistently always shut off at that spot, but it is the first thing that we found that was wrong, so we're gonna go ahead and we obviously fixed it, and now let's see how it does.
I hope this works, man. It's the one. It's gonna do it. We're running out of options. 1,200 horse on this pull. 1,200, no problem? 1,200 easy. Like we might have a some sort of leak in the manifold. We're actually getting fire coming out from the manifold joining thing. Just super sketchy. We might start to be limited at pulls now. See what pressure we're running.
So the exhaust is getting insanely hot and somehow causing fireballs on backfire, which we're not exactly sure about what's going on here. They're small fireballs, but something to be concerned about. But more importantly, we're out of fuel. We are running out of fuel, and that's GG. That's game over on this thing. But here's a positive note. We did get to 800 horsepower. Once we finally got out of that boost cut area, we got to 800 horsepower with nearly 800 foot-pounds of torque. This engine has so much more. It can take so much more. We just have to figure this issue out with what's going on, why we can't get more fuel up top, because we're really leaning out up top, and then that's causing our exhaust to get insanely hot too. Alright guys, I have a light and I don't know if I can do this. Alright guys, we got the Huracan back on the trailer and we are heading home. I want to give a huge shout out to FTW Tuning. They're located in Eugene. If you're in the Oregon area, Pacific Northwest, and you want mods done to your car or you want to get it tuned or anything like that, there's a link in the description. These guys are rock stars. They're super knowledgeable about what they do, and they helped us through quite a few issues that we had here, helping us troubleshoot and everything like that. And we put down 800 wheel horsepower and 800 foot-pounds torque, which is nothing to be bummed about. But we are going to come back and we are going to put down at least 1,000, and just by judging the boost numbers that we were at and the horsepower that we're getting, I think we're going to get closer to 1,250, maybe 1,300 wheel horsepower, maybe, I don't know. But 1,000 is the goal and we're going to hit it. We need to do some modifications to our fuel system. A lot of them are actually to get better daily drivability, street drivability out of it. And so we're going to be working on that. And just like in the last episode, like I have to go to Florida tomorrow actually for a challenge with Tavares. And then so Oscar wants to work on the car, Kyle wants to work on the car, so they'll be working, trying to make some of those modifications. We'll film it all, we'll document it all. Building a custom built car like this you're never going to get it right on the very first time, and we've never been able to drive this thing on the street. So now the piston rings are worked in, the engine did phenomenally, so huge shout out to Texas Speed for building such an amazing engine. And things are going great, but we definitely have some stuff to pay attention to. I apologize for the lighting situation again, but anyways, so thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Next episode you're gonna see I have a challenge going on with Tavares. I urge you to watch it. It's another high horsepower build with lots of good stuff. It's gonna be kind of crazy. I'm a little scared, honestly. So I'll see you guys on that one. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one. Peace.